It seems these days security is getting more and more important, especially at your home. Being able to know what is happening and when it's happening, well, it's getting more and more important than ever. And so when Eufy reached out and wanted to sponsor this video and send over their new Cam S4, well, wanted to give it a shot. And when I first saw it, I was a little confused, I guess you'd say, because a few months ago, I actually posted this video and well, these look very similar. And well, that's because they are. The one I talked about before is the Cam S4 Max. It's an entire PoE powered system that goes to an NVR and is a whole home system. But this, the Cam S4, I think is a little better, at least for my situation, because it is fully wireless. This means you can place this camera basically anywhere. And as long as you have sunlight, well, it can run indefinitely and keep your home, your property, wherever you are, secure. Okay, so let's talk about hardware real quick and what you get with this system. The first thing you get is the camera itself. I'll go into more detail on that in a second, but this camera is able to be mounted really wherever you need it. For me, I have it here on the side of my house. And where this gets interesting is that on the back here, this has a built-in battery. This is what allows it to be completely wireless. You can charge it over USB-C. It's also quick swappable. So if, power goes out or runs out of battery or whatever, you're able to swap the battery in. So you're not really down from monitoring. But what really piqued my interest is the solar panel that it comes with, because with this, you're able to run the camera basically indefinitely. With just 1 hour of sunlight per day, it's able to continuously run. And so this whole system lets you place this camera wherever you actually need it without having to worry about wires or cables or having to recharge a battery. It just kind of does it all for you. Now, having a wireless and solar powered camera like this is not really new. Eufy themselves have made them in the past. What's different though is the camera itself, because there is a ton packed in. Even though it's powered by the sun, they didn't skimp on any features. If you watched my past video on the S4 Max, well, this is going to look very similar because the camera system is essentially the same. And what you're getting here is a camera with 3 different lenses, because this is a bullet camera and a PTZ camera all in one. And so what this means is that up top, this camera system is a fixed wide angle view. So this gives you a view of your entire surrounding, as you can see here. You can tilt it up or down manually so that it's in the right position, but once you set it there, that's it. It doesn't move on its own. But then below it, well, this is where I get really interested, because this is a movable 2-camera system that actually can zoom in and track subjects. And so essentially the way this works is that the top camera is able to keep a view of the entire area. And if something is detected, then that bottom camera will take over, zoom in on the subject, track it, and make sure that whatever's happening, it's captured. And this can spin 360 degrees, so it's gonna continuously track whatever it needs to. Plus there's a 4K camera equipped, so it can actually detect subjects up to 9 meters away. But with that zoom lens, it's actually able to zoom in and capture faces up to 15 meters away. That is super far in the distance. So even if someone is, snooping on your property, getting an idea of wanting to walk up to the door, this camera will be able to detect it and track them as they do it. So if anything nefarious does happen, well, it's going to be captured. But this bullet camera system does more than that as well. This can also be like your security system. There are lights built in that will flash red and blue if you activate it, along with a loud siren. I mean, you can hear it here. And so hopefully this would be the ultimate deterrent for anyone trying to do anything on your property. And even if, something does happen, at least you're gonna have them on camera doing it. Now this also has a strong light built in so it can illuminate the area, but you can turn that off if you don't want it to always activate, because it also has great infrared night vision and just regular night vision. So you can kind of use both depending on what your scenario is. I know sometimes in certain situations, infrared might not work the best and you can kind of miss out on details. So if that's the case in your situation, you can just switch that off and go to just the normal night mode. And if you need even more lights, well, it's got that light built in. You really have a ton of options here. So the camera hardware here is top notch. It's some of the best Eufy makes, and it really does make sure that everything you need to get captured actually does. But that's just one part of it. So the other side is the software. And this, of course, for doing everything it needs for tracking, is using AI. The goal with this AI tracking is to make sure that whatever's the target, that it is always in focus and being tracked. And so, like I said up front, the way this works is that the top camera is what's giving you that wide view, keeping an eye on the area. And if it detects something going on, then that's when the bottom camera will take over, figure out what the top camera was seeing, lock in on it, zoom in, and start tracking. So it really has a ton of coverage. If you have a big property, this should work great. But even if you don't, you can capture things going on across the street if that's something you want to do. And at the very least, whatever is happening in your space, it can handle it no problem. Plus, there's also group tracking. So if there's multiple people involved, well, it can see all of them. And if it needs to zoom out to capture everything, it can do that. Or if it needs to zoom in because they get closer together, it can do that too. It can dynamically adjust based on how many people are in the shot. And this can track people, of course, it can track cars, it can track animals, it can do a bunch of tracking, and you can adjust which notifications, which settings you actually want to get in the app. So this is where you can monitor everything and make sure you're in control of your camera. This camera has a 130-degree field of view. It's 4K, so it gets a wide, sharp view of the area. And with this whole camera and AI system, what that means is I can get a ton of coverage where normally maybe I'd need 2 or 3 cameras. Because this is able to move around, detect, use AI, I just need one. Now, like I said, this is a wireless camera, which is one of the big benefits, and it's able to do that thanks to the Solar Plus 2.0, which is the solar panel you see here. This is a rather large panel for a camera like this, but it's 5.5 watts and it's durable, meant to be outdoors. It has sealed edges, so it shouldn't like warp or it shouldn't get any water damage, anything like that. It's meant to stay outside and get the sun. And all it needs is 1 hour of direct sunlight to get a full day of power into the battery. And by the way, the battery is 10,000 milliamp hours. So that's why it can use battery power to do all these functions like AI and Bullet-PTZ and 360-degree turning and zooming, all this stuff. It has a ton of power on board. And what I like is that this solar panel interfaces over USB-C. It's not some proprietary connection. But what is nice is that in the box, you actually get an extension cable. For me personally, this is just personal taste. Having the solar panel right on top of the camera, it attracts a little bit too much attention for my liking. You can just like see there's a camera right there. It's not necessarily a problem depending on where you are placing this camera. For me though, I wanted to place this kind of on the roof. And so I can use the extension cable that it comes with and place the solar panel in a different location. So I can, for example, just place it here on the roof, and now I don't have to see it, but it's still powering the camera. And to me, this is kind of the best of both worlds. But if you are someone that maybe does want to have that wired connection, well, you can still do that with this camera as well. Like I said, the S4 Max that I talked about in a previous video, well, the camera is the same. So you're able to actually use this in that system in a similar way if you wanted to. And a lot of this camera is similar to that S4 Max system I talked about before. And if you're someone who kind of wants that more professional setup, something that is more, I guess you say, integrated with more features, well, the S4 Max is still a great option. I absolutely love mine. With this, instead of the cameras being wireless, they are using a PoE connection, and they are going directly to an NVR. So it's a hard drive that all these cameras are recording to directly. You still get all the AI and smart features and wireless features, but the cameras themselves are actually wired in. So if that's something you're looking for, that's an option as well. But what's nice is that whichever way you want to go, the camera itself is still giving you that great security, that great coverage, and those great cameras. So if you want to learn more about this or pick one up for yourself, I'll leave a link down in the description where you can find the best pricing. Like I said, these days, security is something you kind of have to take seriously, and having a camera that can really see nearly everything, well, that's probably the way to go.